The theme of our session today is variance and invariance, the reality.
Sundarji, do you want to check?
Alright, so once again to repeat, variance and invariance. I'm categorizing almost every possible probable item, every possible probable thing, entity, okay, episode, phenomenon, process, procedure, everything in the planet Earth or everything in the whole universe is nothing but variance, variants. Every individual unit is a variant. Variant means what? That which varies, that is called a variant. So when you look around everything, every item that you can discern, let's say your tablecloth, the tablecloth itself is a variant. Because it will vary. Today or tomorrow or 1 month later or 1 year later or 2 years later or 5 years later. Okay? But every day it is varying. The properties of variation definitely are not within the range of our sensitivity though. Every cell of your body is varying every minute. So variant is that. In other words, every variant is under variation. That's the second critical point. In between variant and invariant, invariant will come just now. So between variant and invariant, so is the concept or the reality of variation. I specifically insist on the word reality because these are real, these are truths, these are facts. Everything is undergoing variation, therefore everything is named variant. Got it? So, the whole, if you just take a tablecloth, anything can be considered a variant for your creative observation and analysis and conclusions. So, somebody may see that tablecloth as a variant, as a thing, but that particular tablecloth contains a countless number of variants, every thread, across and vertical and horizontal. The texture of every thread, the thread itself, whether it is cotton or nylon or whatsoever, is a variant. If it has a color, it is a variant. What item it is not a variant? Come on. Can anyone point out any item in that very tablecloth which is not a variant? Which does not undergo variation? This can be connected to one of our previous observations that everything is in process. That is why, in other words, everything is a variant, every variant is in a process, and therefore every variant is undergoing variation by virtue of the process it undergoes inevitably by what we call linkages with other variations happening in its environment. Linkage itself is a different perspective that will come later, but I am just introducing that because the concept of linkage is very sensible to you. So, develop that habit of your sensitivities and sensations about the objective environment as well as the subjective environment within, as well as every other process steps in your interactions or interface with the world. You have to do a little bit of a consistent training of your sensations or sensitivities to get into that mode. I oftentimes repeat it. Whatever knowing, whatever perceptions you develop out of this interaction, you must translate them into activity, into expressions and responses and behaviors and doings, and in your language, which requires some work. You have to work it out. Not necessarily now, after the end of this program. Everything is a variant. What is the advantage for you if you are able to maintain that perspective that everything is a variant? Come on, tell me. Now, think and say. What is the first advantage?
Be always alert.
Absolutely beautiful. Your attention will be, for example, metaphorically, like the attention of a sparrow, of an eagle, of a cat. Of any animal, I would say, of any other subhuman creatures. But there are certain blocks or defects in our operating environment because they are all streamlined, they are all regimented, they are all structured, they are all process-wise, procedure-wise structured, systematized, whether it is in the variance of things or variance of activities that we are coming to later. They are all structured, every day more or less the same thing, coupled with the familiarity trap of our mindset. Okay, that everything is a variant will definitely empower our intelligent system to be little more in gears rather than just running in neutral. Of course, 1, 2.
Adaptability.
Explain. Explain what you said, Parvati.
For example, human beings can cope up with any situation.
Instead of that human being sitting there like an academician standing on the dais of a classroom, I can say that.
I can cope up with any situation in my life, irrespective of the changes happening within me as well as on the environment. External.
Definitely, it's a little higher order anticipation. Definitely, that is the evolution envisaged if you understand the variation in perspective. You will be able to adapt because situations are changing, people are changing, events are changing, episodes are changing, contexts are changing, settings are changing, actually. But as I recollect or as I remind you, most of the operating environment is structured, therefore there may not be any easily perceivable change or variation. Change is the word, but variation is the process by which we feel change, that's all. Then there is another natural problem here, Sarah, because, for example, most of the objects in your environment Their variation is very slow. Okay. Systems, their variations are very, very, very slow. Whether it is government system or a local administration system or home management system. And the procedures. Man is in a constant endeavor to make all procedures rigid and structured so that a uniformity of responses and behaviors can be induced into the population. That's a leader's job. That's the ruler's job. Okay. So, unless you, for example, when you go to Ernakulam or Bangalore, after 10 years of your previous visit, you will notice a lot of variations happened to most of the variants there. No? Differential variations. Certain variants have changed to 10%, certain variants have changed to 20%, certain variants have changed to 30%, like that. And certain variants changed altogether. Like instead of a certain building which was there, now that space is constructed with some other building. 100% variation for that space. Then people, their look would vary, their body would vary, their expressions would vary, and so on and so forth. What other advantages? If you look at everything as a variant.
Flexibility.
Of course, then you become flexible like a cat, like a bird. You will not be shocked, you will not be surrounded by surprises, where most of which could be little bit taxing upon your emotionality and behaviors and relationships. And you have to train your sensitivity for about 2 weeks. In fact, every day you are dealing with variants and their variations. As you get up in the morning, your body is in a certain state, you do an exercise of stretching of your hands and take 2 deep breaths by which you apply variation on that sleeping, just out of sleep body process. And it is you. I can go on giving n number of countless examples for a whole year because everything is a variant. 100% of things, entities, phenomena in this universe is a variant. If there is a so-called God phenomenon, centered or distributed, even that too is a variant. When everything in this universe is varying, how can God be sitting there without being varied? Because after subjected to every variation, you also get varied. Varied does not mean that you get changed. That moment that you happen to undergo, that much of variation must have happened into the neuronal processes. Our central nervous system, our brain, records every moment very faithfully and very clearly. Even if you exist for 1000 years, still the brain will have space to occupy new moments.
It's 22 hours.
Then when you start cooking a cup of, or you start boiling the milk, you observe the variation that happens to that milk. that particular milk is a variant because it is the product of the variation processes in the body of a cow that happened just some hours back. And that movement of the milk, movement of the flame underneath on the stove. So when we use the word movement, change, etc., which people normally use, I don't think in general in our official conversation or definitely in informal conversation, we do not use the word variation. And of course we do not use the word variant either. But you will have to use it. And you have to definitely use it. And whether somebody asks you or not, variant meaning, I am talking about this particular document which will have to change your perceptions about it. Apply it with variation. Even application of a technique should have variation. If you just look at the recipe book and do exactly, it will not give a proper product. How are you able to vary your learning according to the requirements? Like Swara said, are you able to be flexible with your learning so that ever-varying environment will correspondingly accept your responses? These are the possibilities. These are the levels at which the genius self exists. You do not know. You have not come across a genius himself. I am one. If you live with me, you will know. A great majority of people just cannot live with me. That's why I don't live with anybody. So, and as a matter of fact, we do not expect anybody else. Many millions of people, I am telling many millions of people existing today, highly qualified, so-called highly competent, whoever, they are not genius in selves. They are not at the level of Buddha or Krishna or Patanjali or Vyasa or any of those mystical geniuses. We are talking about the state of mind of a rishi, state of attention of a mystic. What is the definition of mystic? The one who knows truth intuitively. You have to know the truth of everything. What is the truth? The critical operating principle, which is what I call the next concept, invariant, that which does not vary. There itself is the paradox. When we define that every entity, every item, everything, every process, every system, every procedure, every event, every episode, every idea, everything in this universe of nature process or in the universe of man-created settings, when everything is a variant, at the same time the opposite also existing. Everything has its invariant. There is something invariant in every variant. How is it possible? When everything is a variant, how can everything also contain invariant? Invariantness. What is that, Parvati?
I'm curious to know how that invariantness happened.
What is on your table there right now?
Pardon?
What is an object on your table, if there is any?
Book, mouse,
A mouse.
and a laptop.
There are only those two things.
Then I have phone, then I have plug points.
Alright. Every one of them, every part of them is a variant, agreed? In the sense that after 20 years at least, of course, after 20 years, nobody will know where these particles have disappeared. For example, a stranger now comes there to your room and he just touches the mouse, okay? Has it varied?
Yeah, it has varied.
Of course, its objective position on the table might have varied. He may not keep it exactly the geometrical correctness where it was positioned before. That's okay.
No, subtly also many things.
For example,
The energy field of that person versus who it was
no.
handling.
No. Do not go to. We are talking about the mouse.
The mouse was always in my energy field. Now it has some.
You are going into that deep level. No. I am talking about.
I think it is relatable. The position is on the top of the table, both situations.
You are now talking about what? A certain invariantness about it. Huh? Why did you say that, Sarah?
With respect to something, maybe we can relate it with something in order to explain invariance. Apart from that, we won't be, I think so.
Yeah. We are a little bit varying. The question right now we are discussing, or right now our focus of attention is invariance in every variant. Sorry, invariant in every variant. So we are taking an available example of a mouse. First I said it will definitely have undergone variations at least in another 10 years of time, even if it is kept under controlled conditions. Alright? Now it is there on the table. I am saying right now, let us say it is now 6 minutes past 10, someone comes and just touches that mouse, and he goes. Has it varied?
Its core functionality has not changed. Its intentionality has not changed.
That's okay, Parvati. My question is, has it varied? We will come to that invariant. Now you are talking about invariant suddenly, okay? We will come to that. First, let us establish the variantness. The variantness of that mouse. Right now, someone has come and touched it and told you something and gone. Now, in that split second touch, has the mouse undergone a variation?
Yes.
What is that? Possibly.
Position.
Alright, 1, 2.
If I have kept it for some purpose, maybe want to drink or something, its purpose would have changed by moving.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Even if we did not move the position of that mouse, okay, Parvati said some energy field of it, the mouse has changed, or energy field of its communication with you has changed. What do you mean? I say its energy structure has undergone a slight variation.
Yeah, in the whole process, some of the elements have changed.
Here we come to immediately the next concept in the total design of our methodology of creative perspective or of the genius in self-person. Linkage. You should be varying enough your intellect or your thought process is a continuous variation. That variation should be able to capture what are the things with which any object, any variant is linkaged. In principle, a variant undergoes variation only by linkaging with something else, at least the presence of air. Okay? So that oxidation happens. Oxidation or oxidation? What is it? Oxidation, right?
Oxidation.
All right. You know, after another 24 hours, a police dog will come and smell that mouse and say, somebody else has touched it. All right? How is it possible for the dog? Unless if there was no variation. See? Whatsoever be the clarity or cleanliness of his hand, if that hand has touched that mouse, definitely a police dog will identify. Unless he wears what you call gloves or something like that. That is for example. And you want to vary your body process, therefore you take a cup of tea or coffee. Your sensitivity to variation must go penetrate all these familiar boundaries. Because creative sensitivity to variation is creative sensitivity to variation. Not that you put the gear when it is required. Okay, later point of time you can apply that gear of sensitivity to variation and variance and invariance and linkages once you have mastered it. But you have to master the karate and the kung fu and the sword fight of that variant, invariant perspective. That's the advantage of a detective. That's the greatness of a unique spy. When I trained the select commandos, 350 commandos, I was training them only in one thing, creative analytic observation. Yes, most of them would go undercover agents. Unless they are alert, as I mentioned, like a cat, they will be caught. You see? Especially when they are captured by under suspicion and if they are interrogated, if they make a minor error of memory, newly installed memory of a new identity, they will be caught. For example, their name. They will tell a new name which they adopted yesterday. Some of them may carry a false letter, what you call visiting card of a non-existing company. By chance, if they are caught by a police officer, they cannot say, I am an undercover agent. How will they sustain that new identity? In a way, we are all undercover people in this planet Earth, Parvati. What is the definiteness that your name is Parvati? What is the guarantee? What is the rule that you are this mental configuration only? If you are just okay, your mother, father the same. If you are just born and brought up in Los Angeles, your whole set of responses, expressions, behaviors, doing things, ways of relating and language, all the five fundamental components of that human entity would be entirely different from that of you know. So human beings are ultimate models of variation. A cat 1000 years back, a sparrow 1000 years back, an eagle 1000 years back, they were all the same. They will continue to be so. According to me, the only wonder about human species is that they have been given the intellect or the potentiality to undergo variation. Every human being or a human species has a variant, like all cats has a class of variant, all human being that class of variant, in that every variant is capable of immense variation, the ultimate variation by which they will end up in the wonder of realizing all those things, the so-called Satori. Okay, every object, every entity, everything, every phenomenon, every process, every setting, every design in the outside environment definitely varies. Okay, imperceptible to many people. National highway will remain the same. Okay, airport will remain the same. Parliament building will remain the same. Your house will remain the same for a certain duration. And because the variations of these things happens in very marginal rudimentary doses, people just do not perceive, that's all. It is below the threshold of their sensitivity. Good. It is good. If things vary fast, then they will be in trouble. Like right now in Gaza region or even in Israel, life is varying in sharp twists and turns. All those people will become definitely powerful after 5 years because they have managed a tremendous avalanche of variations in their life. Okay, during the process of managing it, they would be feeling absolutely miserable and tragic, whatsoever of the ultimate type. But once they manage it, once they once they go through that difficult terrain, their entity will have already varied into a much more powerful force. That's the problem with rearing children in comfort zones, mother or father, taking care of everything, making the environment safe and steady. Same school bus, same friends, same classroom, same teacher. Almost same subjects, they know. Their subject may be new to them, but that subject has been there ever since. No teacher is that competent to induce a wonder of variation of the field of physics or chemistry or maths or literature or poetry. They are all different things for them. They are all invariants for them, actually. Everybody is varying. They are talking new things every day. But that set of ideas or interactions, they themselves are invariants. So it is a little bit tricky, get the point. Though every talk, every episode of interaction is a variation in the life of a person, but because of the sameness, continuity of the same thing, it is kind of invariant only. Their mind setting, their intellect, both of them do not vary. Because evolution also is variation. Enlightenment is a moment of huge variation. That's why nobody can even visualize it. Nobody can ever imagine what would happen at that moment of jump from the known to the unknown. So it is reality that everything is a variant. It is reality that everything is a variant because they all undergo variation. Even at the subatomic particle level, from variation from particle to waveness. So you also need to vary. You should be capable of applying variation. The method you hold the bat of your interactions, the method you feel the ground, the method you take the runs in the pitch. And the rulers or the controllers and managers of the society, they are constantly trying to sustain minimum variation or control all variations or restrict all variations. Then it is easy for them. Then they can be comfortable with maintaining the same picture of the people, citizen. So-called religions, culture, tradition, norms, etiquettes, all these things are techniques to keep the human being, the most evolved human being, which is capable of infinite variation, to fly. To the limited rules and regulatory structure. It is wonderful, it is essential, it is 100% essential. Because there are so much of people before the ruler, before the king, that you have to remember clearly. I suspect you don't remember that. Genius himself is an extraordinary person. Not in a way having a different appearance or different costume or anything. The properties are different, as I told you, as many other perspectives, like the referent perspective, the concept sense perspective, the referent reality perspective, then the creative analytic perspective, and then comes the variant invariant perspective. If everything yeah.
In early education system, there was no concept of recording and writing. It was all oral renditions. So was it to bring in, by design to bring in variants, or what was the intention? Later on, when it started getting recorded, I think there was no variants possible.
Yeah, that variation was from listening and keeping it to writing and keeping it. That's all. That variation has not induced variation in the methodology, variation in the competency of the students. Rather, it has reduced the competency. Because
Yes,
anytime.
when they were not recording, they thought of bringing variation.
No, they don't have to think consciously to bring in variation. If you just reflect on an idea, it will naturally undergo variation because the brain is always under variation tendency. At that time they kept on memorizing it. So there was more attention to the details of what was being told by the Guru or the Master. There was no way of keeping it. And moreover, you just cannot go and ask the Master the next day what you told yesterday. So their intellect system, their power of attention, their power of reflection, their power of communication, their power of conceptualization, all of them was at a higher order compared to the modern education system where people take notes and refer to a textbook and all that. Because the written material does not create its own linkages. Whereas an idea held in your mind will automatically get connected to many other linkages. And I believe with anatomical clarity that if you are able to be sensitive, rather, if you are able to maintain your attention to the variation that happens to everything in your environment, including the object of a ball or a pencil or a paper or a tablecloth or a chair or whatever, your system will get automatically evolved. Otherwise the system is in its invariant condition. It is like a rock solid, what you call, video camera. Because when you see variation, you undergo variation. Get the point? You varying you, varying you, varying you, varying you. Where will you reach finally, you think? A great lot of people are not able to vary even when their body has varied. So all their reading and learning stopped the last day of their examination. That regular variation of getting new knowings, including their own subject matter. Okay, forget about subject matter, which may not have any value for the job or life of a given person. What about the music? What about poetry? What about painting? What about reading great ideas? When only human beings can vary, how many human beings are varied? Oh, that's an academic discussion. What is the extent of your own variation? It is a little bit complex in the sense that variation is not normally happening to the
It's
mind,
22:30.
intellect and other competencies of great majority or of a given individual, There is an invariant being maintained, that is why. A relative invariant. For sometimes somebody is a student, for sometimes somebody is a teacher, then a housewife or a husband or some social identity which is constant, which is invariant, which is held as invariant, which is believed as invariant, which has been given an invariant name. The name Parvati remains so long as she is there and even after her existence. That's why people are all named. You only know the names of the people in the history. You do not know Mahatma Gandhi. You do not know Emperor Ashoka. You do not know Rabindranath Tagore. You do not know. You do not know anybody. You only have some memories of names: Krishna, Buddha, Brahman, Shivan, Saraswati, or Parvati, or whoever. Other than names, what do you have? You see the invariantness of the person represented in that name. And there ends your attention to the possible, probable imagination, visualization and projection and the possible nature of that person. You can look at it from different angles. To go back a little bit, according to me, when everything is a variant, everything is also an expression of an invariant of that thing. That's why you are always able to identify a pencil as a pencil. In its varied colors, varied designs, varied shapes and sizes, in its varied locations. You may feel it as something very silly. No. Out of countless things assembled somewhere in a heap, you will be able to locate a pencil as a pencil. So that pencilness is the invariant of that pencil. Whatever that which makes that pencil a pencil is the invariant of that pencil. On one side, and on the other side, that particular invariant pencil is undergoing variation and one day it is out. Get the point? So you have to develop a variant invariant perspective with a variant invariant perspective. Because everything can be varied. Because everything is a variant, everything is undergoing variation, that means everything can be varied. There lies the scope of your writing a beautiful article or a beautiful affair or a beautiful case. Every piece of poetry or fiction, every piece of music, every piece of dance, every piece of painting or whatever expressions of the mighty human beings, they are all the outcomes of variations applied on thought process, on language, on perceptions, on designs, on expressions. Even after writing the first draft, a great poet must have sat for days together, varying its syntax and rhyme and rhythm and language, until there is a relative invariantness. He is able to perceive that no more variation is possible. It took 7 years for William Wordsworth to conclude that his poem, The Solitary Reaper, is eligible to be published. And you have to look at it once again. When everything is a variant, even when a pencil is a variant, and human beings are the culmination of potentiality for variation, why human beings are not able to vary or evolve and improve despite n number of communication happening in the environment from various sources about evolution? The parents are telling the children to become studious, to become wonderful, to become like that, to incorporate new things, new responses, new behaviors, and they are not able to apply that variation. Why? What is preventing them? If you look at it, you will see it is the inability to identify the required linkages of variations. Anybody can tell somebody else, be confident, don't worry, etc. But in order to apply don't worry from a state of worry it requires variation of maybe minimum 3 other linkages, if not more than that in most contexts. Why these human beings are suffering from that invariantness of perceptions? Because of the religion, of the culture, of the regimented environment, of all these created settings of guaranteed design and setting and process and procedure. So automatically the child becomes a solid matter, an invariant entity, with slow changes. What changes have happened even to you over the last 10 years, over the last 10 months? What all quality of variation you have applied in your every act of variation in environment? You see, you have to really see. Every intervention of you with another person is an act of variation, Parvati. A variation within you, and you are trying to induce a variation in the other person. Variation meaning, in that context, variation in understanding, variation in the grasp of a project proposal, variation in the grasp of an affair. The control is, the power structure is very comfortable when the variations are kept in very minimal. So they will do anything to restrict variation. Let them do it, which is required for a great majority. There are millions and millions of populations. Most of them fall under the sub-average category of normal distribution, because their sexuality has undergone variation. For example, I am just going on giving examples only. You should also get examples. Example meaning you should be able to see the linkages of variance and variation and invariant everywhere, and talk like me to an audience if it is required. Talk to a person if it is required. If you want to make every meeting count, if you want every interface, every doing, a remarkable doing, why not? Every dialogue is a potential opportunity of variation. Every dialogue meaning we are talking about a higher order dialogue. Okay? All our examples are from a higher order level. Every critical dialogue should induce variation in the other person, Parvati and Swara and Vivek. Work for that now. You don't have to be, don't get worried, don't get tense that it's a big load. No. What you right now do is a big job. Despite all kinds of variation tendencies in the environment, you somehow maintain the you, the ultimate you, the goddess you, constant. Of course, let that invariant be constant. You see, these are at different locations. Your invariantness, that's an ultimate invariant. Then the second level, second orbit of invariant of your social identity or your self-identity within your mind. Okay, let it be invariant. But let your attention be varying. Let your thinking approach greater variations. Is your thinking able to do that? I am not asking you, I am just asking why it is not getting variation. Basically because it has not been experienced with a lot of variations. A great majority of people have not read anything other than their textbook. Their reading is their textbook, which is stupidness, because it has no application in actual life. They have not read even one single fiction outside. They have not read poetry. They have not enjoyed the lyrics of even a film. They have not enjoyed the lyrics of their own song in their mouth. I know it very clearly. They don't know the meaning of the very words of their own beloved prayers. They don't understand the Bibles and the Qurans and the Gita. They are only understood by the interpreters. Swami Vivekananda or Ranganathananda has understood Gita. Not at all the great majority who claims to have read it. No doubt about that. In which case the society of India would not be like this. If only Gita was the major ideology of this country, this would have been totally different country. A great lot of invaders would have never come and established in India. Because every deity of India is a powerful, ferocious being. Take Shiva or Krishna, so-called Krishna. Who is he? A ferocious guy. Kill. If you want to kill somebody, kill. Whereas the deities of every other religion talked only goody, nice things. And they are the most terrorist kind of supporters, enjoying their freedom. Talking about 10 commandments, they are looting other people's properties. How long England captured, India under captivation? On what basis? And there is a Catholic country where Bible is their textbook, where 10 commandments is their bloody God-given whatever. And they could come to India and establish in India again due to the lack of due to the ignorance of the people, due to their inability to vary according to the requirements. Even when the deity they worshipped was the so-called Shiva, a ferocious warrior. And when the so-called deity was Rama, who went for an expedition, what is the story of Rama? And they simply witnessed the invaders coming and controlling them. Why it happened is because India, Bharat, never had an invariant perspective. I am just giving examples of exemplification of ideas and perceptions. If you master variant, variation, invariant, linkage, perspective, do that. We do that again, always extend this. Do that because that using by only this kind of a variation methodology, you will be able to vary your mental process and perception process and attention process so that you will finally conquer that original invariant of the you. So then you are an invariant now also. So invariant, that means you are unchanging. That is called invariant. But I told you this is a methodology. Variant, invariant perspective is just a methodology, just a kaleidoscope to look at things. But apply it according to the requirement, apply it according to the relevance and suitability of the context. I said this because on one side you are all invariant, you are now maintaining an invariant positioning of you. That's why you are not able to evolve. That's why you are not able to change your expressions, your responses, your behaviors, your actions, your ways of relations and your language. So I was having my dinner, let me wash my hands and come back. Meanwhile, think and develop some new questions. So meditate, incubate either upon the variantness of things on one hand, or meditate upon the possible, probable invariant of everything. It is a con. People talk about the great sun cons of listening to the sound of one hand clapping. An equal sun con is to identify the invariantness of a pencil.
Invariance can be understood at a creaturistic level. But how do we do that for every other person that or entity that we encounter? And there can be pretentious entities also.
Not clear. Question is to be framed once again.
The invariance can be reached mostly at a creaturistic level. But
No. That is about creature level invariance only. Because everything is a variant and every variant has an invariant. Now you are talking about the context of creature level variant and invariant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. Be more specific, Pavati.
No, I'm thinking the invariant can be understood by going to the creature level.
Creature level of the pencil or creature level of the you?
Creature level of any entity.
No, do not go like that. Stick on. Okay, you take an entity example. Now you ought to talk is sensible, no doubt about that. But that is still peripheral. That's why you said any entity. That's a way of escaping from forced to thinking about giving a concrete example of one entity. When you say any entity, you think I should understand that?
No, if I have to understand the invariant of say Sara, and I think it would be most clear or most close to the reality if I understand her creature level invariant.
And that is a good point. In which case, first you have to understand the creature level of invariant of the you.
Yeah.
Because you are talking about the invariant of that creature, Sara. Sara is a human creature, Parvati too is a human creature. So the invariant of Sara and the invariant of Parvati will be identical and the same. Now, this is what the Upanishads and Veda always talk. But we are using a convenient framework to become more and more clear about that. Now when the entire Upanishadic literature is talking about every human being is an expression of the same God or the same Brahman, now we get it more clearly.
Yes.
Every human being is a variant, and every variant has its invariant. At the invariant level, every human being is identical. Because that invariant only defines your humanness. As I told you, the pencil is a pencil by its definition. Among millions of other things, you are able to differentiate a particular pencil because you are very sure about the invariantness of a pencil or a pen or whatever it is. That's why I said, when you understand your invariant, you will understand the universe. That is what is proclaimed in at least the three of the core Upanishads by the great rishis. They are taken as rishis' actions. No, it is a fact because you are a 100% representation of the invariant of the planet Earth. So your contact, your linkage with the planet Earth is at the invariant level. Not at the variant level, because you don't look like a cat. You cannot jump like a cat. You cannot sit stationary like a mango tree. You are not a cloud. You are not a piece of raindrop. So what in you can get connected with everything else in the world is through the invariant, for which you have to reflect and meditate. That is called a meditation. The greatest possible probable meditation is about identifying that which is invariant in you, that which is not varying in you. The gate is through that. And then you will come across that invariant which is perceptible at the same time imperceptible. Like you are very sure about the pencilness of the pencil. But you do not know what exactly it is. You cannot talk about the pencilness of pencil or the cupness of a cup. That understanding is not required because every understanding will make you more and more invariant. And in other words, more and more invariant in a different dimension, more and more rigid. You should know everything, but everything should be a ladder to the next step. Do not belong to anything. And do not succumb to the trap of any knowing. Don't worry, you will not forget anything that you have learned. You know everything, but you should not belong to none of them. Internally. So come on, now look at a little more detail. What are the everything is a variant. Let us look at it. A pencil is a variant. What are the variants? That pencil is a variant, and that pencil itself is comprising hundreds of other variants. Like we talked about the tablecloth. Even when we go at that level, which other variant of a pencil is maintaining its invariantness? Get the point? Is it the color? Is it the design? Is it the shape? Is it the material inside?
Purpose.
No, we are asking about the physical variant. Purpose definitely is a variant. With a pencil you can hit at someone. Okay? With a pencil you can make a hole in a paper. Also. Now, when you talk about purpose, your purpose should be invariantly focused on somehow getting at the top of your existence. Somehow becoming a wonderful person, unaffected by the trained notions of fame, popularity, acceptance, etc. This I have to repeat. That I always say. The genius himself is never a victim of the societal forces. Yet participating in everything. Okay? That is what Krishna calls about the action and no action. Parvati. You are always present wherever you want to be present. You will join any group, but at the same time, you are not there. That's such a way, that is it is at an invariant level. Your invariant is not at all a victim of that. It was only temporary variation. Like Sara said, an adaptation with the given environment. That does not mean that you will adapt with a group of unethical criminals. Of course, that is not to be mentioned. These are all examples, but get the invariant of the methodology called invariant variation perspective and apply that. It will be wonderful because I am telling you, everything in the universe is a variant. Every variant will undergo variation and every variant has an invariant. And you included. And you is a variant. You should undergo variation despite having an invariant at the core level. At the core level. So if you are a variation, if you are a piece of variation, capable of variation, what all variations are possible in the coming 1 year? In coming 1 year, when every system, every object, every process, every perhaps even global international relationship may undergo variation.
It's 23 hours.
So that means constantly you are variation, meaning constantly, because the environment is constantly varying. The last one measured chronologically, the last moment is gone. This is a new moment. This is the beginning of a new minute of 60 seconds. So to be with that should be your invariantness. Get the point? Then you will feel a genuine gratitude to everything. Then you will feel gratitude even to a cup of tea in front of you. You will feel gratitude to even the cup. People think that gratitude should be shown to other human beings or other creatures. No. You should be grateful to everything that you happen to have right now. From a tip of a small pencil remaining in the corner of your chest to the pen, to the mobile, to the bike, to the car, to the system, to the house, to every wall, every windows, every calendar, every photo, every item in the, that comprises the whole, WHOLE whole. Every part of that whole should be under surveillance of your continuous tuning with the variations, each one of them undergoing. Each one of them is undergoing variation. So to be with that is to be the invariant condition of you, one of the invariant condition of you. then every day is new. People talk about literature that every day is new, everything you look at, etc., etc., but they do not know how to do that. Because when they come out of the house and look at the surroundings, it looks the same as yesterday or 1 hour back. Okay, buildings are man-created structures, so they will become apparently stable for a certain period of time. And because variation happens to them over a period of time, human beings do not notice that unless there are critical moments. That's also nature process only. There is a certain speed for this variation. Next concept, okay? Something which varies relatively quicker than our constant observation, then you will feel the speediness of about it. The variations that happen to the current environment is very slow, especially in the cities. But if there are plants and flowers, then if provided you look at it with your intentful eyes for a second, then that variation will get transpired into you. You may not notice it. Do not insist that you should notice, you should register every variation. Because the speed of variation is very limited. You just look at them with an intent. Then the looking thing will undergo that variation. Like you cannot see the variation in the rose flower today from yesterday, you may not be able to discern the variation that happened here in the neural network. But see that you look at the things, don't just see things. Not necessarily getting up in the morning and looking at every nook and corner of the house, but wherever your eyes fall, you look. That act of looking itself is a variation that you have played. Agreed? Get the point, sir? Tomorrow morning also you look at your pencil on the table. When you look at it with an intent of looking at it, rather than just a passing seeing of that, that intentful looking at that pencil itself is a variation inside you. That is our purpose. All these are with the purpose of becoming a genius himself. That is what some of the modern writers talk about. Look at everything as if you see for the first time. That's what people talk about, living in tune with the present and all that. This is the mechanics involved. Oh, this is one of the methodology I am proposing so that you can comfortably and conveniently apply. See, everything for a human being is with the purpose. No? What Sarah said, purpose. What is the purpose of existence? What is that invariant purpose of existence of a human entity? Having provided these wonderful engines of attention and reflection and thinking and conceptualization and imagination and visualization and projection and dreaming, is for some purpose. manifested by every other blade of grass in the surrounding. It comes to its full bloom. Human beings, of course, physically come to their full bloom because physical processes are process of the matter. So it will get growing and increasing in height, weight, and then and so on and so forth. Existing in that medium of the fresh blood-borne structure, that given consciousness process, that awareness process, that attention process should be able to cover up beyond all these things. And that attention will redirect its energy field into the body, and by which many things are possible, many things will happen to you. Record for the existence of that entity sitting there. It shall not be compared with the corresponding variation in somebody else, anybody else, nobody else. Because this entity is this entity. No pen, no second pencil is like the first pencil. It occupies a different space and process and location of this planetary truth, planetary ocean in which we fishes are swimming.